There we go. We're going. All right. Once again, starting this off, I'm Ben Johnson. I am an RA over here in Hillside. And I'm sitting down today with Diana and Mark from Sage Refill Market, just across the street from campus. And we're going to be talking about today some sustainability things and what that means as businesses that you're going to around town, as well as sustainability in the community here around campus and moving forwards. So to start with, guys, could you give us just a bit of an introduction of who you are, what the business is, and how it started?
Go ahead.
Sure. So we are, as you said, we're Sage Refill Market. We are next to Cafe Mackay, which is at the corner of 12th and Wedgwood. I'm sure that most of the Belmont students are very familiar with the cafe. We opened in May, so it was a really great time to open a business, but we did it. We opened our doors, and so we're very new. The whole idea behind opening the store was really to help our community, to help our neighbors, to help ourselves have kind of a one-stop shop, a resource for products that will help us to reduce our waste, and in particular our single-use plastic waste, which has just been, it's a real problem for all of us. It's gotten worse during the pandemic. So really we wanted a place that would serve the community in that way.
Awesome. So kind of building on that then, what really inspired you to move into this sort of project instead of pursuing something else?
You want to go ahead? Because you were the brain. She came up with the concept or the idea of doing this. Diana did. And so I'm going to allow her to speak to that first, and I can join in. But we were just talking and laughing about the ball, who got the ball rolling. She did. The concept was her, the idea. She just started researching, and so it moved on. So
yeah, well, I just think that like a lot of people, we did our best. We recycle, we compost, we use our reusable bags, reusable water bottles, all that sort of thing. And then a couple of years ago, we started learning that, only 9% of what we recycle is actually recycled. And a lot of countries like China, plastic, I should be specific about that. And a lot of countries were no longer accepting the plastics. And so just as a family, we started trying to, rather than thinking the mentality of recycling it, trying to start on the other end and trying to find ways to reduce bringing single-use plastic into our home. But it was really complicated and frustrating, and trying to find those products. You ended up piecemealing stuff here and there, and you'd have to ship some things, and then you're thinking about the environmental impact of shipping. And so we just realized, wouldn't it be great if there was just a place where we could go, where we could just get all of these things? And wouldn't it be great if it was just like close to our home?
Across the street.
Yeah, we live a mile away from the store.
Yeah.
Sure.
So like the minute it was really one of those odd things that the minute we started talking about it, pieces just started falling into place.
Sure.
And
that's our puppy.
Sorry, our dog is trying to join in.
The synergy, all just once we started talking about it, then we started hearing NPR talk more about plastics. We started seeing Time magazine with articles. Rolling Stone magazine did articles about plastic. The one thing that really, really stunned me was I heard NPR interviewing I can't remember the scientist, but he was stating that by the year 2050, there will be as much plastic waste by weight in the oceans as there will be fish weight. And that just floored me.
Yeah. Wow.
We felt like we should, try to do something to affect not just our small little circle of our family members, but also our community in a larger circle. And Diana started again researching and found the store, found the products, and it took off from there in a matter of weeks, actually. And
it was kind of crazy, honestly. And we both have full-time jobs. Like this isn't our full-time job. But it's a family affair. So our older daughter manages and runs the store during the week, and then on the weekends we take turns working there. And our youngest daughter actually did all the artwork in the store. So very much a family affair.
That's awesome. Well, so you guys obviously have this and are fairly well established at this point, right? So some, and we got a couple of these questions actually. Why don't more businesses practice the sustainability and focus on this environmental friendly, or if you can speak to that at all?
well, I think it takes time. It takes a lot of time to research and find these products. I mean, just looking at it as a small business, I know Diana has spent countless hours researching, trying to find products that are not placed in plastic, first off, that are shipped as sustainable as possible without plastics, using recyclable peanut products, or just in paper, not wrapped in plastic. If you think about the things you may order from Amazon or wherever, it's amazing how much for no reason there's plastic. It seems like no reason from our standpoint. You get all these plastics. And so that would be my first thought, is that you're going to spend a lot of time, probably money, a lot of manpower researching and trying to find ways to pack your products without using plastics. And then other reason would be probably cost.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is I think at the end of the day, plastic is cheap. And I think a lot of the large companies that make their products, they're looking at their bottom line, they're looking at their stockholders, they want to make money.
Sure.
And I was just reading, it's interesting, there was just an article out this week about, and I really hadn't followed this, but there's a correlation. The price of oil has dropped during the pandemic because of course we're not flying anywhere, we're not driving as much, but that means that plastic use is up for a whole lot of reasons, but making new plastic is even cheaper than it was before because the price of oil is lower. And so if you're a company, whether you're a small company or a large company, if you can save money by putting your product in a plastic container, I mean, I don't mean to be cynical, but I feel like for a lot of businesses, it's bottom line, it's money.
Oh yeah. I mean, that would be the number one thing. I kind of went off on my whole idea of whatever I think, but the bottom line is money.
It is hard to find those companies that put the environment over profits, that are willing to, put their products in either cardboard applicators for a deodorant or little glass jars and things like this. They're willing to do that because the environmental impact is number one to them. And so finding companies like that, it's not easy. But it's a great question. And I do hope that I feel optimistic, and I feel that as consumers, the more we demand products be more sustainably packaged, I think that some of the larger companies are going to take notice of that. They're going to follow demand. And so just like, this past year, Coca-Cola has been talking about changing their plastic bottles into, I think, maybe based out of some corn-based.
Cornstarch or some type
I mean,
of
we'll see if that
vegetable product.
happens, but to think of a company as large as Coca-Cola, just it's on their radar. They're talking about it. So I do hope that as we all start to demand this, that the bigger companies will start to invest more money into more sustainably packaged products.
Sure. So I know some people are very, like, it's very daunting thinking about the impact that these major corporations have on the ecosystem and stuff, and are very, like, intimidated by the fact that they contribute so much, either positive or negative, based on their actions, um, into how that translates to what they're doing. And they're very intimidated by the fact that maybe what they're doing is nothing compared to. So what can you speak to towards things that are really vital for just at home, what you can do to sort of keep up on these things and really make a difference?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think that first of all, it is daunting and it is overwhelming. And it's very easy to go down that rabbit hole and to think, well, I can't do anything. I can't stop this. And so what's the point? But I truly believe that every little step that we each take as individuals adds up. And I think it adds up not only in the way that we are all taking these small steps to reduce waste, reduce landfills, reduce that plastic going in the ocean, but just like I said before, like I think there's another piece of this, which is that we're starting to create demand for these products that will eventually sort of turn the tide with some of the bigger corporations, because I think we all recognize that even as individuals, we can make a difference. Really, the big difference will come large scale. But to answer your question, I would say start small, like pick a few things that you feel you're able to maybe replace in a more sustainable way. Don't get crazy about it. Do recycle. I mean, just because only 9% of plastics are recyclable, don't let that deter you. Still recycle, do your curbside. We have a TerraCycle box at the store that takes those hard to recycle plastics. Reuse your plastics. I mean, we keep a ton of our plastics from takeouts to mix paints in or to keep stuff in the refrigerator. I mean,
organized drawers
with it. So you know, there's so many small things. I mean, there's like a giant list I could go, you know, compost.
Right. Well, just on the plastic thing also, make sure that you understand what is recyclable in the curbside recycling. There's very few things, but it looks to me like number 2 plastics, because those are the jugs. Those are like heavy plastic jugs for maybe milk or juice or things like that. That for sure can be recycled, but just, you know, educate yourself on what can certainly be recycled. I would even suggest like picking okay, decide that, okay, I'm going to, you know, start using, change my deodorant, you know, or I'm going to pick a room like a bathroom or your kitchen, where you're purchasing most of the stuff in your house on a continuous basis. So, you know, choose your bathroom, which is, you know, hopefully smaller. You know, I don't know if, you know, you're not purchasing as much weekly there. You're purchasing more groceries and things. So, you know, decide, you know, use a deodorant in a sustainable package. Use or reuse an empty shampoo or conditioner bottle, get it refilled at Sage Refill Market or another refill market on the east side. There's the Good Fill is on the east side. So, you know, just go about it that way and just change that and get in that habit. Okay, I'm in this habit. Now when I've got that habit, maybe I can change my consumption of, you know, I'm not going to buy, you know, smoothies constantly out of a plastic, where it's plastic, I don't know if Smoothie King or places like that would allow you to bring something in right now during the pandemic, probably not, but try to reduce your use or purchasing of products that come in plastic, um,
Yeah, I would just leave it with this: start small.
yeah.
Start
Try,
small.
yeah, because it's so easy to be overwhelmed. So start small.
Sure. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's great. That's something that like I myself have encountered to be very, very daunting, as well as, we got people asking about it as well. And many people I've talked to have really been like, well, what's it even matter if,
Right.
Right.
but yeah,
But it will matter if you start and then it circles out, and more and more people just start, and then the demand starts going up for things that you're using that are packaged in sustainable products or recyclable products.
I mean, I can tell you just from our family that once we started doing this, not only I would
Oh, yeah.
say, we're taking less trash out because
Absolutely.
we're composting, and we're so like we can see just in our own household the impact on our trash, the impact on our recycling, because we're either taking that bottle that we've had and we're refilling it over and over again, or we have switched to something like a shampoo bar that has absolutely no packaging whatsoever. So I just try to imagine, I kind of visualize it, and I think, well, wow, if this is what our small family has been able to reduce, and then you just kind of multiply that out, there is an impact. Absolutely, for sure.
awesome. Well, I know that we're starting on some small things as a community here in Hillside. We're working on also towards a group composting
Good.
situation. I don't know if you guys have seen anything on this, but the something I like to get out there to everybody that I can, in the cafeteria and stuff, we've started using products from World Centric for all our to-go and whatnot. So it's completely biodegradable and compostable there.
Great.
So school's been taking some really awesome steps.
That's great. Yeah. That's wonderful.
So just looking at my list here, we've kind of covered some tips and stuff. So we obviously go through a lot of different stuff in our day, whether it's hygiene or it's food. What are some of the big things that end up in waste that we don't really think about that maybe could use a little more thought?
I think it's food, 100%. Like, I think if you look at the data, you would see the food waste, and I should have pulled that number up before we got on this call, but food waste is the number one thing. And it's interesting because not only do Americans in general waste a lot of food, but if you take that apple, for example, and you throw it in the trash,
Right.
and it goes to the landfill, it's not going to break down, even though it's an organic, it's a piece of fruit, because of the way the landfills are so compact and so tight. It's not going to get the kind of air that it needs to break down the way it needs to. And so as it sits there, I mean, it eventually will, but as it sits
It'll
there,
take much longer.
it's releasing a lot of the gases that are really bad for the planet. So the better thing to do with that apple is to compost it. It's going to break down faster, and it's not going to release those really toxic gases. So food waste is huge. Food waste is also really hard too, because we're accustomed to going to the grocery store and we buy all this food, and then a lot of times, and we're guilty of it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
He's smiling because at the end of the week, we always have things in the refrigerator that either we didn't get around to making, or whatever reason, and we, just like everybody, need to do a better job of keep either buying less, seeing during the week like what we have, and either taking it and freezing it or using it, or even there are plenty of like the Nashville Food Project and places around town that could take those things before they spoil, they could use them. And then at the end, when it is bad, we do compost like almost everything. So
yeah, that has been our largest reducer of trash. You know, because we've lived in this house for 20 years, and we always recycled. There was always curbside recycling. So we did our best on that end with cardboards, plastics, and glass, and we still do. But after we moved in, it was a couple years before I started composting, or I should say we started composting, but I'm the one who always takes it out and digs around and, you know, turns it over. But, and that was a huge reduction. We went from probably 2.5 bags of trash a week down to 1, just simply by not throwing food waste and compostable food waste in the trash. And by compostable food waste, you know, you're talking fruits and vegetables and grains and things like that. You know, you don't want to put meat or anything like that in your compost in the backyard, because it's not going to heat up enough to. You can, but you're not going to break it down. You're going to have varmints. You're going to have, you know, a lot of things happening, and it's going to get a little smelly. So that was the biggest thing that we've noticed for our trash reduction, was truly the food composting, the waste, the things that have gone bad.
I think for college students, I mean, I guess we got a little off track talking about our.
No, that's absolutely great. Yeah, because I mean, it's. I mean, I'll let you finish here about college students, because we could use tips, but also a big thing about this is as we move forward as well. You know, this is the transition into the real world.
Right. Well, and it's great that you guys are going to have a community compost, because I think that's going to, you know, if you didn't have that, then there are obvious barriers to food waste. I mean, as a college student, because you just wouldn't have the availability to compost your waste. So that's going to help. But I think that some other things that I would say college students could think about doing would be, and it's a lot of stuff that we just talked about, it's maybe pick 1 or 2 areas that you feel like, you know, I could easily swap out my laundry detergent. Like, I don't care if it's Tide or whatever. And, you know, like, and just start those small movements towards that sort of more sustainable living.
Yeah, I totally agree. Excuse me, it's just like a family. If you're a student, you're living with, you know, in a dorm situation, you have 2, 3, 4 roommates, something, I don't know, maybe even more in suites. But if as a small group, you can come up with, you know, let's find detergent that, you know, we have detergent that there are strips that comes in a paper package. There's strips. There's no waste there. You throw it in the wash, and you can recycle the packaging. We have powders that you can, you know, bring any container. So just in that respect, rather than going and you know, I know those big box, you know, detergents, you know, come in 150 ounces, you know, and they're very convenient. You don't have to go buy more for a long time, but you can still do the same thing with the other products. You know, the strip laundry detergent I'm thinking of, you can do 30 loads with the strips we have, and it's pretty inexpensive. And it, you know, takes up about as much as a notebook, you know, even less than a small notebook, that much room. So just as a group of living in a dorm, you could or even one person just can start thinking of that. Where can I make my first dent? Where can I make my first change?
Awesome. Yeah, I think, and I'm in a situation where I'm in my second year here at Belmont, and I was living in a communal style dorm, and it's definitely very different from now. You know, like I said, I'm here in Hillside, which is an apartment style complex, and so the amenities are very, very different. But I think that's a good message to everybody, is just to, you know, use what you have and and work with others as well.
Sure.
So with these, we've kind of hit some good stuff on starting small and just doing your due diligence, and just really like working, keeping at it. But I know habits can be hard to form or hard to break. So what are some of the biggest obstacles that either you've had or you've had other people have when they're starting to live sort of more of a sustainable lifestyle?
Well, I think you hit on one of them, and that is habits. So, we all develop certain habits and certain brand loyalty. Maybe you have found, a shampoo. I don't know about you guys, but you women, like you found something that you love and you're like, yeah, I don't think I could give that up. But I would say that that's okay. Like the way I think about it is, we all need to be kind to ourselves, and there are going to be certain things that, whether it's the habit that you just talked about, or whether it's a brand loyalty you have to your very favorite shampoo, that's okay. But then try to make switches in other areas where maybe you don't have that same sort of attachment to a brand or attachment to a particular habit. I think that the deodorant is a great example because, we're all familiar with the stick deodorant. The antiperspirants is what we've always used. And that can be kind of a strange habit to go to a natural deodorant, because right away it's not an antiperspirant, so you're going to sweat. And so the concept of sweating is like, I don't know about that. But then even going beyond that, we have some deodorants that are cream deodorants, which is like a strange concept too, because you're like putting it on with your finger. But within that cream deodorants, we have them in bulk refills. So like if you're able to sort of break through that habit and you're willing to try these new things, you'll probably find, as we did, that they're fantastic. And now it's like, I can't imagine ever
Going back
using
to
anything.
to a stick deodorant.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I do think that young adults in particular are probably more willing to try a lot of this stuff than people are our age that have been using a brand for 30 years of something, and they're not quite ready. Okay. But yeah, I think that young adults are going to be, whether it's a habit, whether it's a brand loyalty, you guys are going to be much more willing to give a lot of this stuff a shot. And I think just coming in, like if you come into the store and you see all the options and you get curious and you start asking questions, some of the stuff we can even make like samples of.
Right.
I think that even those things that you feel would be hard to change, all of a sudden maybe you're curious enough, you're willing to try it. So a lot of it, I think, is just sort of feeling that curiosity enough to go and sort of check it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think another thing is just the ease. Another habit, or just the ease of the going to a store and you just buy. You go into a grocery store or a Target or whatever, and you've got hundreds of choices. So it's easy to say, okay, I'm just going to toss that, and we're going to leave. You come into our store, the first few times it's new to you, so it's not as easy. You have to sit and you have to look, you have to perhaps research or read or ask us, and so it's not as easy just walking in and grabbing something and put it in your bag that you have been doing, that maybe your parents did for you when you were younger, and then you just went, okay, I'm just going to do that same thing. So I think that's another an obstacle that might be in the way of someone just trying to be more sustainable.
Sure. So building off that, then, on the topic of being informed and like really kind of breaking through that barrier, something that I'm just curious about myself, and I'm sure other people are as well. What sort of resources do you guys utilize, or do you recommend that other people utilize, to stay on top of maybe current events that involve sustainability, or new things that are happening, or regulations, that sort of stuff? You mentioned stuff like NPR and Times and stuff earlier, but what sort of avenues would you lean down?
The Tennessee Environmental Council is a very good source and resource.
Mhm.
What is the Sustainable Nashville? Is that what it's called? Yes.
Yeah, so there's Sustainable Nashville, there's the Urban Green Lab.
Right.
I really feel like in some ways that Tennessee Environmental Council has sort of like a lot of arms to some of these other programs. And they're really great in terms of our state and what's going on locally and those types of things. The bigger issues, I think that, we personally, we listen to a lot of NPR.
Right.
We listen, we read the New York Times, Washington Post, things like that. I think that it's important wherever you're getting your information that you're just, you make sure that you're fact checking everything, and that, if you read something and you question it and you think, I don't know, that doesn't sound quite right, just do your own research as well. But I will say there's so much information out there that, again, it's one of those things that you could quickly just get super overwhelmed with, and also just really, really depressed about.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's important. I said this about something else, but just be kind to yourself and just take that
Right.
information in the bits and pieces that you can.
Right. Because we have discussed this a lot. You could, in our minds, you can never get to zero sustainability. It's a goal. It's absolutely, you should work that way. But if you don't beat yourself up over getting takeout and you're like, oh, this is number one plastic. Where can I recycle this? Well, you can bring it to us, but just be kind to yourself, and if you just keep striding forward and trying to get to the point where the majority of the things that you're doing are sustainable, well, that's great. That's a huge step.
I don't know. I think we're probably not great interviewees because we keep kind of like veering off from
No,
your.
it's great. Yeah. The idea of this was to have more of a conversation than just.
Yeah. And
Right,
there's another organization called Zero Waste Nashville.
Zero Waste Nashville.
They're really good. There's also the Cumberland River Project. They do a lot of river cleanups, not just at the Cumberland River, but they go around to different smaller tributaries that go into the Cumberland, like the Harpeth and Richland Creek and things like that. And they do cleaning. They clean up plastic and trash like that. That's another way to, research and find people who are like-minded and might possibly have answers that to questions that students might have.
So I have a question for you. Maybe it would be worthwhile on our website to sort of have a resources page where we kind of list out some of our favorite places, like Zero Waste Nashville, like the Tennessee Environmental Council, with some links so that people who are wanting to learn more would have, have that information there. I mean, do you feel like that'd be something?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think anything that would make it easier for people to go and access that, and have especially a lot of things right in one spot for them to be able to access would be so much easier, because as you said earlier, it can be very daunting to look and see all this information out there that is just kind of overwhelming and floods you. But I think I think absolutely. If you guys did that, I have no doubt that people would really appreciate that, especially students here on campus.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's something that we
We'll do
can,
it.
yeah, that we'll work on that for sure.
Or
Awesome.
she'll end up doing it because, yeah,
Yeah.
that's just what she does.
Awesome. So, but again, with us being college students, a lot of us are, working our own jobs and stuff here and working to pay for school and are not in the best place financially. And so, as we've already talked about, cost can be a factor in this. So, living this low waste lifestyle, some people have concerns about it being cost effective. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I think that it's really interesting how living low waste has gotten this sort of rep of being expensive. Because when you think about it, you're reducing your consumption. So like it really it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I will say that the products that we have in the store are environmentally friendly. Some are organic, some are small batch. And so if you are used to getting the cheapest laundry detergent that you can that has sulfates and chemicals or whatever, and you don't care about any of that, then purchasing something from us might it is going to be a little more expensive. But living low waste per se is actually you're going to end up saving money because you're going to eventually be producing less waste. Sometimes
you're not just going to be consuming, you're going to lessen your consumption of things.
And sometimes it means that you might pay a little more on the front end for something that's going to last you a lot longer. Like, for example, we have these safety razors, which are really sort of like your old school razor that maybe your dad or your grandpa used or whatever.
Sure.
They're not plastic. They use like the razor blades. They're about $30 to buy one, which may seem a little bit more than a pack of disposable razors. However, the little razor blades, the pack of them is like $1. And so you can easily see, because they get you on those razor blades when you're refilling your regular plastic razor. So over time and very quickly, you see that you're saving a lot of money. But like that initial investment may have seemed a little bit more than your disposable razors. And so I do think there are lots of products that maybe fall into that category that feel like on the front end are a little bit more than if you were to get the cheap plastic version, but they're going to last you.
Right. And I just an experience this weekend. We had a regular customer come in and she was trying to figure out, okay, you're using hand soaps, laundry, and dish soaps. And she has Airbnbs, and she said, well, I'm looking for something like to clean the bathroom, like tile and then glass. And I said, well, we have that right here. And I showed her, and they're 19 cents a fluid ounce. And so when I filled up 2 bottles for her, the total cost of a 16-ounce bottle for the fluid itself was like $2.19, $2.25. And she was stunned. And I said, well, yeah, but and the cost, she bought 2 glass bottles that went with it, which was $2 each. So she bought 16 ounce of cleaning product for, between $4 and $5, which is very comparable to going to, up to Kroger or going to Target and buying whatever your Windex, and that's a lot more expensive, and it's plastic.
Absolutely.
And so you're not only are you spending a little bit more for that, and it's probably a really good product. I don't know, but we haven't used it in a while. But you have a plastic container that you have to deal with after that. So that was just something when you talked about cost, that it's really comparable to once you start doing it and have a bottle that you're going to consistently refill. And it doesn't have to be one of our glass bottles. It can be something that you've used. It could be plastic. It could be aluminum. It could be stainless steel, whatever you use. And you could bring it in and refill it. And you're going to be saving money in the long haul because the cost of 19 cents a fluid ounce, man. That's not very expensive.
We always do a double take on that too. We're like, is that right?
Yeah, I noticed that when I was in the store as well. It was very like, oh, this is not gonna break my wallet.
Right. We have a lot of people say that, and it's interesting because I think they come in and they think, "Ooh, I don't know, this is gonna be expensive." But like I said, there are a few things that might be an investment on the front end, but then it's going to be, you know, combined with some things like our glass cleaner that's so super cheap. And so I think that the resounding feeling we've gotten from our customers is that everything is priced a lot lower than they thought it would be.
Right.
So
I think so too. Yeah.
And we're real conscious of that. I mean, I'm a pretty frugal person just in general, but I'm also, and he's gonna make a face. But I'm also very aware that we have, you know, a lot of college students, like you said, and you all are, we really want to be accessible to you. So we think about that.
Right. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that that'll be a big one for sure. That people realize that, oh, it's something that is attainable, and I can, because yeah, personally, I definitely tend to stay away from things if they seem like they're gonna take a little larger of a chunk out of my wallet. But being able to know that it's gonna be roughly the same price I'm already paying just so I can take a shower, you know.
Right.
I think people would really jump on that.
Right.
So we've kind of gotten through a lot of stuff here. So I want to give you guys a little section here to kind of show off a product or two that you guys have in the question of asking what sort of stuff do you guys have that you would really recommend for a college student that you think would be either something very cool or maybe something very basic that you might not think that you'd have, or, you know, just something like that.
The first thing that pops in my mind that we have at the store is the laundry strips.
I was going to say that.
The laundry strips.
And the pods.
And the pods.
Yeah.
Because you can bring, you know, you can even get the pods in your hands and carry them out that way if you want to.
I don't know why you would.
But the laundry strips, honestly, it's about a 7-inch packet high and 6 inches wide. There are 30 strips, and it honestly is about the thickness of a small notebook.
Just the convenience if you live in a dorm or an apartment and you're having to cart, like, you know, first you got your big laundry basket you're taking to the laundry room, but then if you have that big jug, these things are just so easy. They're so small, and
then storing it in your dorm room is another thing.
There's like no space.
And if you have just this little, and it's 30 load, there are 30 strips, 1 strip per load. So
but the drops too. I do want to put a plug in for the drops because I think that and we sell those in bulk. So we have some bagged up already, but like if you wanted to come in and try 5, you could come and grab 5 and try them. And they're just like the little, you know, they're like little pods, and they work great. I actually use them here because they're so convenient. They're not messy. They're great, and they're very affordable too. So I would say that the laundry would be one of my top things. I also personally think that our shampoo and conditioner bars, for similar reasons, just because they're easy to take back and forth if you have to go to a community shower, but also if you're sharing a shower with a bunch of people, they take up so little space. And, you know, each shampoo bar replaces around 3 bottles of shampoo. The conditioner replaces around 6 bottles of conditioner.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that, again, like, you're going to save money using these things, but they're small. And so I think that the laundry, the shampoo bars, and then I love our cream deodorant. I already talked about it.
Yeah, the cream deodorants, and especially when you get it in bulk, you save.
Yeah.
over the already packaged cream deodorants, you save, $3 or $4 if you just come and get the same amount in bulk.
We haven't talked about cleaning supplies, but I know that some college students do clean. I know they do.
Every now and then we do.
Every now and then.
Every now and then.
Once a month, whether you need to or not, right?
I'd say there's one product in the store that has really, I don't mean to be dramatic, but it's been a little life-changing, and it's called a Swedish dishcloth. And I don't know if you were in the store, if you got to see them, but they're these cloths. They're called a cloth, but they're not really a cloth. They're made of a cellulose fiber, so they're stiff. They replace about 17 rolls of paper towels, or for us, they replace a sponge.
Right.
And so, your sponges get all stinky, they get all nasty.
And you buy them, they're in
plastic. They have plastic in them. So this is all natural. We've had ours now for about 9 months. It doesn't smell. It's the craziest thing. And if it is a little dirty, you can put it in your dishwasher or your washing machine. When it's all done and it starts tearing apart, you toss it in your compost and it totally biodegrades.
Awesome.
These things are crazy. Like, I'm so obsessed with them.
And they are cheap. When you come, you're talking about $7.
Replacing all those paper towels, all those sponges.
Right. And when they get wet, they dry out like a sponge and become stiff again. But when they get wet, they're just basically like a rag, and they absorb so much.
They're awesome.
They are. Yeah, they're great.
So I'd say, do you have anything else? Like, I really like those.
No, those are my favorite. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I guess what we can say then is come into the store and find out, right?
Right. The hand soaps are wonderful. They're inexpensive. They smell great. We have families, because we are using a lot of hand soaps now, especially with the pandemic. People are constantly, we have families come in and, every couple weeks and refill, 5 or 6 glass jars, because then they're filling up their little containers. They're wonderful. Anything else?
Yeah, just come in and check it out.
Sure.
When we're not in the store, when we're standing there, we can, point things out very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're winding down on time here. And so just as kind of to finish things out, we've covered a lot of stuff on sustainability, on from the business side of things, from an individual side of things, and what sort of stuff you have. What would you like students that are watching right now to come away with and really just like take with them every day?
I think we've said this a lot, but just to reiterate, don't be overwhelmed. Don't be discouraged. Don't feel like your individual efforts don't make a difference, because they do. And I honestly 100% believe that the place that our planet finds itself right now in this moment, that there are things that we can do collectively to help push the needle the other direction. And like I said earlier, I think a lot of that isn't only just from individuals consuming less plastic waste, but that's going to create demand that in turn larger corporations are going to take notice of. I also would like, young people to know we're sorry.
Yes, the older generation.
Yeah. I feel like there are so many things even beyond this that we have young daughters, 21 and 18, and it's a lot. There's a lot on your shoulders that we're expecting you guys to kind of go out there and change the world. But with that said, thank you. But just take it one step at a time. Don't be overwhelmed. be kind to yourself, because we're on this journey too, and it's all imperfect. There is no perfect way to do this, but I feel like the energy that surrounds this effort is just really rewarding, and I really feel like we're making a difference, and you guys are making a difference.
Right, right. I agree with all of that. And I would just like to add that Belmont students and all students in Nashville get a 10% discount on everything every day.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know,
I
just a
also
little
want to
plug
say that, then this is kind of like a little sidetrack, but we live like literally Belmont's across the street from us. You guys are doing an awesome job with your masks. I am
Absolutely.
so impressed when I drive through campus and everybody is masked up. And it doesn't take much but like a couple turns down 12th Avenue to see that is not the case all through 12th Avenue. So I just want to applaud all of you guys because I know how challenging this has been for everybody, but you guys are doing a great job.
Absolutely. I'll second that.
That has nothing to do with the interview, but I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. I'm sure a lot of students will be happy to hear that, because I know a lot of students aren't super happy about it, but we've been doing it anyway. So
Yeah.
Good.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today and getting this stuff. And I'm sure you'll see several students in the store. And we really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day
Sure.
to make this happen. So
Thank you very much.
Thanks for allowing us to come and talk to you about the store. And yeah, we hope that you guys just are curious and come in and talk to us in person and come try something.
awesome. Will do. I know I certainly will. And I'm sure we'll get plenty of other students as well. So
Sure.
All right.
Great.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.